Hi, it's Danielle. This is my perfume journal where I document my love of perfume. I am so excited to make this video because last month I decided to start hosting virtual perfume meetups and sniffalongs. I've been keeping the size of the meetups around 20 to 25 people because I really want people to be able to talk and have it feel like the perfume version of a book club. So apologies to anyone who tried to register and got the message that the meetup was no longer accepting registrations. That was because it filled up. And this past Sunday, we had our first sniffalong. And the theme of the sniffalong was a perfume fruit basket. I chose 5 perfumes with a distinct fruit note, and then anyone who wanted to sniff along could order samples. When we got together, we smelled them all in real time, and we got to share our impressions and our thoughts with each other, and we had a really good time. And so, just for transparency, these are first impressions of each of these perfumes. This video isn't going to be reviews of the perfumes. It's going to be more first impressions of 5 perfumes that were smelled by a whole bunch of perfume enthusiasts at once. And also for transparency, I haven't gotten permission from everyone in the group to share names in the video, but I just want you to know that there were some very good noses among us and some really excellent detective work going on. Okay, so on to the perfumes themselves. So first up, we smelled Sisters Before Misters from Jusbox, and that had a featured note of banana. So when we put it on the blotter, we got a lot of banana candy. Think like Laffy Taffy, or someone said it smelled like runts, and that was 100% what the opening of this smelled like. There was also a pretty pronounced lime note at the top, and shout out to our note sleuth. During the entire sniff along, she picked out at least one note from each perfume on first sniff. So she was the one who called out the lime note at the top. And as the perfume kept unfolding on the blotter, we got some of the strawberry coming out. So we switched over to a skin test at that point, and that is when the milk note started to make itself known. We were totally not expecting this perfume to end up feeling so lactonic, but it most certainly did. And on me, this smelled like a strawberry banana yogurt smoothie. Kind of like if you've ever had a mango lassi, but make it strawberry banana. It was like milky with a little bit of a tang to it. We found that this perfume felt young and playful. It was reminiscent of the millennial Spice Girls vibe it meant to give off, and it was a really fun start to our sniff along. Next up, we smelled Passion Island from Bisous, and that perfume had a featured note of mango. So right up front, we all got the mango, but we agreed it was a very green mango. It didn't feel like a soft, ripe, sweet orange mango. It was more of a green mango. The pineapple, blackcurrant, and passion fruit came through next, and they almost felt like mouth puckering to us. And so on the blotter, this perfume was definitely piquing our interests. So imagine our surprise when we switched over to skin and we started to feel the base notes of the dry down taking over, and not in a great way for most of us. Luckily, we had a non-sniffing detective in the group, so she had perfume databases open at the ready, checking on reviews and comparisons to inform us as we sniffed. And as soon as she said what this perfume was similar to, it registered with me. It was mentioned online that this was similar to Xerjoff's Herba Gold, and I was definitely getting that Herba DNA from this perfume. So what was a lovely opening, like such a good opening, took a turn for me into tarry aroma chemical territory pretty quickly as soon as I put it on my skin. And that was a bummer because this perfume held a lot of promise as being maybe like a departure from the usual fruity suspects. But again, the dry down was just a no-go. And even after many hand washes, this one really hung around on my hand for the rest of the day. and well into the late night. It is an extremely tenacious perfume and one of the longest lasting things I've ever put on my skin. Okay, the third perfume we smelled together was the Cursed Apple by Mischief Academy. I was pretty excited to smell this one because I've never smelled anything by this brand before, and I have been searching for a really good red apple scent for quite a while. And of all the perfumes we smelled, I would say that this is the one that took us on quite a journey. So, first up, it was lipstick. We were all like, whoa, orris, rose, violet. That was immediately coming out. Powdery cosmetics right out of the gate. But we were like, where is the apple? Where's the apple? So we moved over to putting it on skin to see if the apple note would like make an appearance. And it sort of did, but it was coupled with this odd bitterness that we would later learn was supposed to evoke the poison in the poison apple of the snow white tail. So to me, this poison note smelled like absinthe or wormwood. It definitely had that like sort of bitter green kind of quality to it. And when I went back to my arm at the end of the Sniffalong, this perfume took a turn for the better for me. The bitter apple was pretty much what I was smelling, except with a little whisper of lipstick behind it. And I thought that it ended up being very interesting. So even though this was not the apple I have been searching for, it was a fun sniff for sure. Next up, we smelled Note de Yuzu from Heeley. And we're pretty excited at this point because this was a 2017 creation. So, unlike the other perfumes we had been smelling up to that point, they were all created within the last few years. This was a little bit of an older perfume. And so that made us wonder if this perfume would have the same kinds of aroma chemicals we were picking up on in the previous perfumes that were much more recent releases. And what we learned was it did not. This was amazing. It smelled like very fresh yuzu pith, very green, very bright, very punchy. And then there is this incredible saltiness in the mid that adds like an extra freshness to this scent. And it brings almost like a breezy aquatic quality to the perfume. And then all of that is balanced out perfectly by a nice dry vetiver in the base. This is one of those like super simple compositions done very, very well. And our well-tuned nose in the group noted that this perfume actually reminded her a lot of the new Jo Malone release, Yuzu Zest. And we were wondering if maybe the Heeley Yuzu would outlast a Jo Malone Yuzu because Jo Malone colognes aren't usually known for their longevity. So after this one is sampled in a full and proper wear, I think we'll have a better idea of how long lasting this perfume really will be. But all in all, we really, really enjoyed this one. And we even had our own personal shopper sourcing bottles for us online as we sniffed. And this one really got a very positive response from everyone in the group. So, Note de Yuzu from Heeley is Sniffalong group approved. And our final perfume in the Sniffalong was Fraiche Passiflore by, I have to take a deep breath to say this name, Maitre, Parfumeur, et Gantier. Trying to practice my French accent a little bit better. Anyway, this is a 1988 creation, so we were really curious about what this would bring. Like, was it going to smell like a big, loud 80s perfume? We weren't sure. And it turns out that this one was really surprising. It was light, it was fresh, and it was very, very floral. Not fruity to us at all, much more floral. We picked up on none of the raspberry that was in the note list and only maybe like a tiny bit of the peach. And the passion flower seemed to be the most prominent. It was fresh, a little bit spicy, and that might have also been coming from the pimento or the little touch of marigold. I was really, really trying hard to find the marigold in this. Marigold is one of my favorite florals. And in the end, our resident gardener noticed that there was a bit of like tomatoiness to this scent, which maybe was an association from planting marigolds near tomato vines. That's something gardeners often do to keep pests away from the tomato plants. And we were like, oh my gosh, that is brilliant. We are definitely picking up that tomato leafy paired with marigold spicy floral kind of quality to this perfume. So we found this to be the least fruit forward of all the perfumes we smelled. And we also thought that this one probably needed to be smelled again when we weren't all like totally covered in other perfumes. Poor Fraiche Passiflore at the end of the line. It definitely deserves its own swatch of skin eventually. But overall with this one, I would say we had like a mixed reaction. Okay, so as for me, here is how I ranked the perfumes in this sniff-along. So my least favorite perfume that we smelled was Passion Island. It had a very promising opening, but that aroma chemical mess of a dry down just kind of ruined it for me. In fourth place, I'm putting Sisters Before Misters. This is a fun and quirky scent. It's definitely different with that lactonic element against the candy-like fruits. Something originally I thought I might like to have like a little decant of, but after letting it sit on my skin, I think just a sample will do. But it was definitely a fun one to sniff. So in third place, I'm putting Fraiche Passiflore. This I thought was a good quality perfume. I'm putting this one squarely in the middle simply because I really think I need to smell this one again when my nose is clearer. This one also gets put in like neutral place because it really didn't fit the fruity brief that I thought it would. Now the big surprise was that the Cursed Apple actually moved into second place for me after our hour of sniffing together and then continuing to sniff the part of my arm where I placed it. It grew a lot more interesting to me as time went on, and I really like when a perfume does that. I really like the bitter apple lipstickiness of this perfume. So I definitely want to give this one a proper wear and see how I feel about it after that. And my number one was Note to Yuzu by Heeley. The green, fresh yuzu, the saltiness, the vetiver, everything for me was in perfect balance. This is the kind of perfume that I would love to have for summertime, and I can imagine that this smells particularly amazing outdoors. Okay, so what did the group think? We ran a little poll, and it seemed that most of the group's least favorite perfume was Fraiche Passiflore, coming in with 50% of the votes for least favorite. Next up was Passion Island, getting 25% of the votes for least favorite, and then the Cursed Apple and Sisters Before Misters tied with 12.5% of the votes for least favorite. And as you can see, Note to Yuzu did not get a single vote for least favorite. But it looks like Fraiche Passiflore comes in last place for the Sniffalong group. And coming in as the group's most favorite is Note to Yuzu from Heeley, getting 62.5% of the votes. The next most favorite perfume was Sisters Before Misters from Jusbox. That got 25% of the group's vote. And the Cursed Apple got 12.5% of the group's vote as the favorite perfume from the Sniffalong. But definitely a runaway win for Note to Yuzu. This sounds like the Perfume Olympics or something. So this was a super fun way to spend a Sunday afternoon sniffing new perfumes with amazing perfume friends, all gathered together in community to explore and talk and laugh and chat and compare and wonder. And I already cannot wait for the next one. And I really hope to be able to add more of these in the future for anybody who might be interested in joining us. So a big thank you to everyone who came to the very first Perfume Journal Sniff Along. I loved spending this time together. And thank you to everyone who is watching this video. I would really like to know if you have smelled any of these fragrances and if you had a similar or a different response to any of them. So thank you for spending your time here with me, and thanks for chatting perfumes with us in the comments. I hope you have a really great day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.